Hey guys, it's Sherry Vegas here, and today in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how you can create your own textured floral wall art and how incredibly easy it is to do so. So let's just go over some supplies that we're going to need to get started to create these really cool textured wall arts, and you won't believe how incredibly easy this is to do. It is very cold in my studio at the moment because it is winter, so I've currently got on a really comfy hoodie. Normally I try to, with my intro and my outro, dress slightly nicer than what I wear when I do my art stuff, but it is just too cold today. And I've also got on my fluffy slippers, if you can see them. I'm not sure if you can see them because it is so cold here. But anyway, I've jabbered on for enough. Let's get into the supplies that you're going to need today. So we're going to be creating some wall art. So we're going to be needing canvases. I'm just going to be using this one today. So whatever size you want to go for, obviously go for. It's just the normal stretch canvas. Then I am going to be doing an olive green background. So I've got these two different olive green acrylic paints. Whatever color background you want to do, obviously buy the paints to match that. The two ones that I have got is one's from Atelier and it's called Olive Green Series 1, and the other one I'm using is from Montmar and it's called Olive Green Premium. Okay, and then you're going to need either some textured paste or some modeling medium, depending on sort of the finish you want to go for. So I have got quite a lot of them because I have been slowly testing out every single texture paste or modeling paste on the market. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 here currently, and I've had more, but I've run through them. So if you kind of want to go for more of a matte finish, obviously look for matte finish textured paste. One of my favorite ones to use so far is the modeling paste by Reeves. It's actually really cheap as well. You can see I've nearly gone through this. I wish they would make it in a bigger size because I do go through it quite a lot. And you can also mix that in with some coarse gel. It's got a bit of a sand-like effect. Otherwise, if you do have really nice sand, you can mix that in, because I do have some fine white sand that I do sometimes like to mix in if I want to give it that real sandy textured effect. And then your cheaper sort of light modeling paste are going to give you a little bit more of a glossy and not as much 3D dimension to them. And then I've also got, some textured paste. I've got some modeling paste. I've got the Liquitex acrylic medium. I really like this, but it is so expensive. I think this was $30 something for this size, and then the really big one does get a bit cheaper. It's $69 for and I think it's 3 times the size. But it's so expensive. So yeah, any sort of texture paste, any modeling paste that you want to use. Some people also use plaster, or they'll use stuff that they get from the hardware store, and that's perfectly fine to use, but it can crack. Normally with your art supply ones, they are at a higher price point, but they are designed to be mixed with acrylic and they won't crack as easily. So I have tried some putties and paste from Bunnings, but I always find as soon as they dry, because I am doing them quite thick, they generally just crack and it ruins the whole piece. So you're going to need some paste of some sort. Textured paste, modeling paste, acrylic medium. It's up to you. There's matte finish, satin finish, gloss finish. There is a lot of them out there. Then we are going to need a stencil. So this is where it makes it a lot easier. So I have got a really big stencil, and I think it's just an Australian native. I'm not sure what the actual flower is called. I should look it up. So I got this from My Stencil Lady is where I bought it from. I also bought these two as well, and I found that she was probably, for Australia, the most reasonably priced, and they came to me within 2 days time. And also too, it's not easy getting massive stencils. So if you are going to be if you're going to be doing this technique and you're in a different part of the world, look up wall art stencils, because a lot of the time if you just look up stencils, they're going to be the tiny little ones, and they might be too detailed, because for this you want to have a little bit more of a simpler design. You don't want to have too much detail because we are going to be using that thick textured paste. So I quite like these because they had a decent like gap in between each part of the stencil, so we're going to be able to do this technique without them blending too much. But yeah, I just got these from the My Stencil Lady. I think for like these 3 I spent like $70, and obviously they're going to be reusable, so I think they're really good. And she had like multiple sizes and tons of designs, so definitely go and check her out. I'm buying this to obviously match the size of my canvas. And then you're just going to need a palette and some painter's tape to hold your stencil into place. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm just going to be prepping the back of my canvas, doing my background color. I'm doing 2 different color olive greens, and I'm just applying them directly to the canvas, and then I'm going to be blending them in together. It's going to be quite subtle, but it will just give a little bit more dimension using the 2 different colored greens. You can obviously do whatever color that you like. I am just going through like an olive green phase at the moment, so I'm tending to do a lot of greens and mint and sage colors just because those are the color palettes that I like. But I'm just going to be blending these out together just for my background. I think I'm also going to add a tiny little bit of this pale olive just in a few spots. Okay guys, so the canvas is now dry, so it's time to apply my stencil. You can honestly do it either way depending on how you want to, like which sort of angle you want your flower to be on, or whatever stencil that you are using. I'm also going to be using some painter's tape just to stick it down so that way it doesn't accidentally move while I'm working with it. I might move it down just slightly. So we've got our stencil nice and secure. I'm going to mix up some of my textured paste, and then we can start adding our paste onto our stencil. So I'm going to be using this textured paste today, and you need a fairly decent amount if you want it to be quite like 3D and textured, but it's honestly up to you. So I'm getting quite a few scoops. I'm also going to be mixing in a little bit of the coarse texture gel because it will give it that sort of slightly more matte finish. I've just added some white, titanium white, into my paste, and even though right now my paste looks white and it doesn't seem like necessary, some pigment pastes dry clear. So if I don't add any color into them, I'm not going to have it looking like this when it does dry. So whatever color you decide to use, you just need to add it into your paste because they do, a lot of them dry like clear or like a little frosted sort of effect to them. So you definitely have to add in some acrylic paint, even if you do want just white. So I'm just applying my textured paste with a palette knife because this is such a large stencil. I'm gonna do section by section because you can see it is lifting in some parts. So if I just was to scoop it all over, I'm gonna get parts where it lifts. So I need to hold it down and do area by area. It's been about 20 minutes, so I'm going to take my tape off and really gently peel up my stencil to reveal my beautiful 3D textured flower. You just want to lift directly up. So this is my stencil, which I can go and wash quickly now because this hasn't fully set up. So we'll just wash off the stencil. And I'm left with this stunning 3D textured flower piece, which honestly looks like it would have taken a lot of time, but it hasn't. If you wanted to and you don't want it as clean, you can always get your palette knife and blur out edges if you don't want it to be like perfectly stenciled and make it look more realistic. You know, grab some textured paste and flick down to kind of make that look like it's more hand done than necessarily like perfectly stenciled like this. All I need to do now is just let this dry. It'll probably take about 2 days to dry because it is quite thick, and then I can frame it and hang it up on my wall. So I did decide I am going to go through and make it look not so perfect in this area. So I'm just going to use a little bit of what I've scraped off the stencil, and I'm just going to pick select ones to just make it look a little bit more less perfect and a bit more natural, so that way it looks more like possible hand done instead of using a stencil, because right now I feel like it is quite perfect, which is obviously if that's what you like, but if I do this, it just makes it that little bit more natural where someone might actually think I did this without a stencil. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this technique. Is this something that you would try? Honestly, it's probably one of the simplest way to create a really cool textured artwork. And as I've said many times in this video, you can use whatever kind of stencil you like, so it doesn't obviously have to be botanical. And there are so many stencil places out there. Just look up wall art stencil for the larger size stencils that you want to use. I personally like when I kind of go back in and add a little bit more texture on top, just because it makes it look a tiny bit more like organic and possibly like hand done instead of done by a stencil. But if you like it super crisp and clean, then I would recommend not going back in and adding some texture to it. It's already got a ton of texture to it, but if you want to make it like that little bit more like organic-y texture, then definitely go back in with some extra palette knife like action there. I really enjoy it. I find this very relaxing, very therapeutic to do. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment box below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want me to do more sort of textured painting, let me know, because I have a few other ideas for some different techniques that I want to show you guys. So if you want to see more of this style, definitely let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help me out. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe, as I post new videos every single week, all to do with different art tutorials.